Hello.
Frida Future with today's buttisode of Woke Your Butta in a pool in paradise. And I want to talk today a little bit about blind spots and feedback and projection. Well, first about blind spots, everybody's got them. It's a fact of the matter of being a human. You can't know what you don't know until you know it. So how do we get present to our blind spots? How do we get present to the places where we're not being conscious, where we don't know what we don't know, what we're missing, what we're doing that's not working? Why is it not working, right? So this conversation around blind spots immediately takes us into feedback, right? Because one of the main ways that you can learn something about yourself is by getting feedback from other people. The importance of receiving feedback, of being open to receive feedback in order to get the information around your blind spots. So I've been opening myself up to more feedback. I've been asking for more feedback. I've been actively tracking my defensiveness when I encounter feedback. I've been doing my best to distinguish between feedback and criticism. Right? What's the difference between those two things? Maybe it's just semantic, but there's a crazy bicycle over there. Maybe it's just a semantic difference, but what I sort of parsed out was this thing of criticism being past focused. It's got an element of shame and blame around things shouldn't have been that way and they should be a different way. Maybe it's not even consensual, right? Maybe criticism is just kind of like coming at you. Where then feedback is more consensual, it's future focused. Here's what we're gonna do moving forward with the information that we just gathered from what happened. So yeah, making myself open to feedback and being able to recognize that a lot of my defensiveness comes from feeling threatened by criticism on the level of identity, that there's something then wrong with me if something I've done is wrong. So being more open to feedback, being more willing to look at the things that aren't working. Okay, so another way to get present to a blind spot beyond feedback or criticism of being reflected back from another person. Because, reflections are great, but also sometimes people are projecting on you. So you can't just take the feedback, you can't just take the criticism. Because someone could be quite easily not doing their own inner work and projecting their criticisms of self onto you, right? So another way to get present to blind spots is with attention around the attendant mess that comes forth when you're acting from your blind spot. So one of the things that I notice for myself, if I'm justifying or making excuses, I probably have a blind spot, right? If I notice that I'm suddenly scrambling in order to justify this thing or explain why it's going to be such a big, complicated mess, there's probably something I'm missing. And then it's like, stop making the justifications, stop making the excuses in order to recognize like what the blind spot is. Finally, there's a thing in here around triggers too. So like, okay, noticing my mess, noticing my excuses and justifications and the things that don't work. Getting present to what that might be through feedback, through criticism, through this noticing. That's cool. That's kind of like, oh wow, I see why I made this mess right after the fact. But we're trying to get out in front of those things, the blind spots, the stuff we don't realize. For example, one of mine is I take things really, 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 really personally. And I sort of knew that, but when I recognize all the rest of what comes with it becomes really clear. And I hear it from other people too around this. Also, another one of mine is around just letting my emotions get away with me, because I have such a difficult time sometimes tracking my emotions that when I feel them, I really want to feel them and I want to move with them. So triggers, when do I get really emotional? Triggers, what do I know is going to make me feel lonely and make weird decisions? getting out in front of the blind spots, in front of the places where we make these unconscious decisions in order to stop them from happening. Yes, it's okay to move through this stuff and clean it all up, but wouldn't it be nice to get out in front of it and not have to do all that in the first place? I get triggered by feeling lonely. I get triggered when I'm physically not taking care of myself, when I'm like tired or really hungry. My thing is thin. When I feel scarce is another one of my triggers into weird unconscious behavior. What are your triggers? What are some things that you notice lead to actions coming out of the blind spots? How do you respond to feedback versus criticism? Are you open to it? Do you have a hard time with it? Do you know why you have a hard time with it if you do? Yeah, these are the things that I wanted to say. Some of this is not super fun looking at all this, but to like shift the sensation that like, man, now I'm examining what's wrong with me, this stinks, into the place of like, wow, I'm doing really important maintenance on the way that I'm moving through the world. And I'm excited for the improvements in what I'm making from here. That's what I'm talking about. And for looking at this pool, this is my favorite place in Tulum. Not my favorite, but certainly up there. And I've spent a lot of time here. Just being happy and relaxing and letting myself think and feel. So thanks for thinking and feeling with me. Lift your butt up. If you want to send me money, you can send it to me on Venmo at Frida Future or on PayPal at paypal.me/cosmiccunt. Yeah. Thank you very much. I love you. Bye.